Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And wow, do we have a losers bracket on our hands here at Major 3. It's absolutely stacked down there at the moment. Los Angeles Thieves proving their decision to maybe not try as hard as they might have done in that tiebreaker match right by playing Minnesota Rokkr last night. But also OpTic, based on their performance yesterday, might well need iLLeY back in the team in a LAN environment sooner rather than later. A further update on this front that he's actually going to be ready sooner than maybe some of us predicted. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Crimsix and the subliners will be in action later on this evening. Will they play the final game of the day? And if they do play the final game of the day, that's probably going to be an absolutely massive one. We shall dive into here in a second. We've firstly got to talk about though Rokkr versus Thieves. This is honestly, there were so many great storylines going into this series because Thieves, the kind of throw they did against the Florida Mutineers to avoid OpTic and play the Minnesota Rokkr first round. They of course had to prove to some degree that decision justified, but also Minnesota Rokkr could of course all the flack that Rokkr were taking, right? Because everyone was saying, okay, wow, Thieves should just throw this match to avoid OpTic effectively was the talking point at the time, and Rokkr were kind of taking offense, right? Like, hang on a second, we're 5-0 here, we have the best map count at the stage, we're still the team to beat. Well, why would Thieves want to play OpTic over us? We're the number one seed effectively coming into this tournament. Now, Brian said, of course, has had a few words on this the last few days. Even, Jacob, of course, from the Thieves side has basically said, look, we weren't trying to throw it away, we were just, weren't maybe trying so hard, testing some things out ahead of the major. So it was all set up, nicely in a way for Thieves to lose and get absolutely roasted if they lost to Minnesota Rokkr. But fair play to them, right? Because they came with a fire this series. And if you'd have told me that they have beaten Minnesota Rokkr in a game 5 fashion, winning 2 search and destroys against Rokkr, and I said, what are you smoking, to be honest? But they did exactly that in this series. Well, actually, before we look at that, this came out from the Rokkr real quick, just mentioning from their perspective, all this that came out from the CDL, throwing some accidental team kills, the disrespect that Rokkr kind of felt that was, like Looney and Brian said, the coaching staff, Brian said, basically said as well, look, he's here to kind of, show, okay, we beat them once, we 3-0'd Los Angeles Thieves in the regular qualifying matches just a couple of weeks ago, we can most certainly do it again here, of course, when the pressure is on. But the big question has been, for some people, what's going to happen on LAN? Does Minnesota still have what it takes on LAN? They were looking rather good online indeed. Havok, of course, his team that he had, the kind of Texas Nation team that dominated all the online challenges tournaments. They went to the LAN environment at Major 2, could qualify for the Prem and failed to do exactly that, right, with a team that should have been pretty much dominant, right? And Minnesota, of course, coming in here with Havok again, the question was going to be there whether they could convert this into a LAN environment. Now, game 1, it certainly looked like they were going to. This was pretty much the ideal start to the series. Of course, they 3-0'd them. The thing is with this Minnesota Rokkr team now with Havok is that, of course, Havok does a great job this game 1 as well, that they have this potential to win respawns, the likes of which their previous team did not. But their search and destroy has possibly taken a hit, at least in terms of their game 5 clutch factor that MajorManiak, I think, certainly did bring to the team. I think the team is better for actually being able to win respawns more consistently now, winning game 1s, which certainly they need to, but they're going to need to win some more search and destroys if they want to make a losers bracket run, because this game 2, Los Angeles Thieves played it pretty comfortably, to be honest, here on the Bacage. I was really impressed with their search, honestly, just watching this back this morning, because, the likes of Shane, having, of course, recently joined the team, it's a difficult situation for Jacob in a way, because pretty much whenever they lose, people are going to blame Jacob to a degree, and whenever they win, people are going to say, wow, Shane's really made such an impact since joining the team, right? So it's kind of a lose-lose for Jacob in a way. But I guess clearly Shane, we saw maybe Clayster say that he's actually been in this team, Shane, for a few weeks now, working behind the scenes. Octane was praising what he's brought to the team an awful lot after their victory against Boston last weekend, and LA Thieves bounced back in the game 2. They then lose the control, a Berlin control, where, honestly, I love the fact that Rokkr played this map a lot, because it's one of the more entertaining ones to watch, to be honest. 5 offensive wins on the map is very rare indeed, but Rokkr get the job done, take it to a game 4, and it felt like, okay, wow, Rokkr going to win 3 respawns here to close out the series. They almost did exactly that, but Thieves bounced back on the Berlin, they send it to a game 5. Attach here is 39 in 18 at this point, he almost gets the kill on Octane as well, and Standy's 14 in 25. So yeah, tough times from across the board there. Usually, when one player is just dominating and your SMGs are struggling, not always the recipe for success. Thieves actually bounced back here very impressively. Some bodies were shot early on in this series, and Drazah's body was shot, for example, and that didn't really work out for the Minnesota Rokkr as time progressed, because they go to a game 5 and win this game 5 pretty comfortably. Desert Siege, people were talking about Minnesota Rokkr, the fact that the sniper wasn't really having too much impact. They kept it out and didn't really see too much success. But Thieves dominate both search and destroys in this series, which is honestly kind of incredible given the fact that earlier this season, they were certainly considered a team. I don't know how Octane managed to lose that gunfight there, but they're winning the round regardless. Blocked out the outside noise, as they say, because there was a lot of talk about this series going in, and most certainly understandably so. But it's Thieves that come up with the dub at the end of the day. And winning the search and destroys in the fashion they did, that is the Thieves that we need to see if they want to make a run in this tourney. And the fact that this Minnesota team barely won a round in the search and destroys this series is honestly not what I expected at all, right? Rokkr Rokkr, usually so solid in all the game modes, like the Search and Destroy especially, and maybe this is just Los Angeles Thieves one series every tourney where they show up and look really good to the point where they can actually, you know, well, justify sticking the roster together. But who knows, right? They're in winners. They've still got a chance to make a deep run in this tourney. The other question about this was really like this tweet from Formal back in January, but just the MajorManiak idea. Would, yeah, in those game 5s, game 2s, that's where a player like MajorManiak that was dropped. I'm not saying that was a bad idea at all, but like it's an interesting situation where Priestahh has kind of been the main man that's turned it up with Attach the last few weeks. And when Priestahh doesn't have a series when he drops a 1.0, the team all of a sudden doesn't look too far different to what they were looking before. Of course, the S&D was the key weakness for them in this series, as Envoy says, great S&D out of the boys, you're still gross, you're gross, but still my son, Colt Havok, he says, don't cheat my body, GG's Minnesota 1-3-2, like it when Drazah talks trash, doesn't get the opportunity to do it too much so far this season, maybe he will have some more opportunities for the rest of this, rest of this event, and Thieves say 5-0, but you know, online, right, so kind of roasting Minnesota, being like, okay, these lads are just pure online demons. Now, whether Thieves can keep up this performance, they're now guaranteed top 6, winning your winners round 1 gives you top 6 minimum, that's 20 CDL points minimum, and like all of a sudden that's not too bad for Thieves given the fact that they're still in that race already for World Championship qualification, and as Shane says right here, some of the mistakes in respawn are unacceptable, gotta iron those out, but you know, happy with the victory nonetheless. This is the final series stats right here, so kind of similar to what you might have seen a few weeks ago when a Priestahh doesn't have the greatest series, and of course they still lose it, but as I say, it came down to the Search and Destroy mainly. Thieves relatively even across the board, Attached with another great one, no one's really surprised at this point. Now of course the other side of this story is right, the Thieves kind of threw that series against the Mutineers, and both teams involved in that kind of throw fest, if anything, actually won their series, right? So Los Angeles Thieves took down Minnesota, Mutineers took down OpTic in the game 5 fashion. As Scum says, lost 3-2 onto losers tomorrow, but the thing is the losers bracket already, with Rokkr going down there now and Mutineers going through, and the winners bracket and OpTic down there and New York Soloners down there, the losers bracket is absolutely stacked right now, and like honestly, the quality of teams that are going to make it through this bracket are just ridiculous. Only one of Minnesota, Toronto Ultra, OpTic and New York can make top 4, and only one of OpTic and New York can actually make top 6. We'll see that too in a second because that's kind of incredible. Now, yeah, tiebreaker Major apparently is OP, so kind of crazy how the storylines were setting up for this weekend, and then Thieves managed all of a sudden to subvert the expectations entirely. Now, we've got to talk about the OpTic situation, right, because yesterday, Prelude, you know, look, I don't want to pile too much blame on Prelude for that series loss last night, just because, like, he's a new player to the scene, he's done a great thing for OpTic the last few weeks. It's very difficult to perform like he has, subbing into a team like this, kind of in a last-minute situation, but it must be said that Rambo did say going into this event that, like, you know, we're going to bring iLLeY back whenever we have the opportunity to, just because we have more faith that iLLeY is kind of a championship winner. He's like a LAN player, he's going to turn up in a big series, game 5, round 11, you know, whatever the situation might be, that's when iLLeY kind of shines, and probably might not necessarily have that yet in his career. So that was the thing yesterday, had a tough series, like there was all this talk, could he convert it on LAN, didn't really happen yesterday, and therefore I'm sure a lot of OpTic fans are wondering, okay, when can iLLeY actually come back, right, because he's in Toronto, he's there with the team, he was kind of, you know, fist bumping the guys on stage, I think, after the game one to get them ready for the game 2, so thought that was kind of nice, but you know, Hex had some indication in the vlog, of course, the process also came out yesterday, but that's a lot of the kind of commentary in that was quite a while ago, but the first doctor he talked to actually thought it was like a cyst that would have potentially been a really big deal, and it turns out that doctor was kind of faded, as iLLeY went on to say, and it turns out it's actually like, you know, the kind of pimple idea, effectively like a ball of pus on the lower part of his thumb that he's been taking antibiotics for. Those antibiotics or whatever might have been more effective if they'd have been taken, well, at least if it had been diagnosed properly slightly earlier, right, but with the MRI towns coming through, he reckons that pretty much he needs like a small injection there to get rid of everything, and then he pretty much should be good to go. So he's in much more positive spirits than he was. He was certainly concerned early on. I think Hex even mentioned on the podcast the possibility of a bit of tendonitis, but just in general, there does seem a lot of optimism right now that he will be back over the next couple of weeks or so in time for the Major 4 qualifiers, and they're probably going to need him for the entirety of that run if they really want to make a dent for the rest of the season. I'll share the clip.
Yeah.
What's good?
High five. No, I'm kidding. Take care of the thumb. Can you show the thumb on camera? What's going on?
What's good? Yeah, no, it's good. It's getting better. The bump did get smaller.
Oh, hell yeah. No, that's almost gone.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get that injected, and
We're gonna take it out.
Yeah. Gotta look fresh, you know, in my hometown.
This is your town?
Yeah. You know, I run it.
They got it wasn't like a bone thing, huh?
Yeah, I was like tweaking.
Let me see it.
You were hella scared?
Yeah. It's gotta be way better. I just gotta get like injected with a needle and syringe.
Oh, you still do?
Yeah, but I got it in America though.
You can't do one of these? And like if you got bit by a rattlesnake or
Why do you have to
something.
do it in America?
Because here they said it's to August, like the first one, and I tried getting it done privately as well. But they said since you have Ontario health card, you can't get it done privately here. Huh? Yeah. because it's under 0-9.
So let's dive into the CDL then for the rest of today. Firstly, got to mention the fact that there is, of course, the kind of Challenges event going on at the same time. Clayster is there at the venue, ready to go on the Challenges front. That's going to be exciting for sure. Now, you know, FaZe, of course, they continue on in the winners brackets. Honestly, the winners bracket is not looking how I expected it to look at all. Neither is the losers bracket, of course. Pickham's completely out the window and chalked. But, you know, Simp was saying right here, like, they're going to boo us no matter what, but we're still going to come up with the fire. Now, well, this is the schedule and the bracket for today. Of course, you can't really see it on this screen, so I'll bring it up like this. This, of course, being the winners and the losers bracket. The winners bracket being Thieves, FaZe, Mutineers, Surge. These teams do not play until Saturday, but the losers bracket goes tonight with 4 losers games plus another one, and the additional game is going to be this match right here, the last game of the day, starting at 7:30 PM Eastern in theory. We'll see what kind of delays happen with that, but there could be some nice 3-0s earlier in the day, maybe to make things a little bit quicker. We shall see on that front. But yeah, this of course is the bracket. It's crazy stuff though. Look at this losers bracket. Rokkr, Ultra are down here, so theoretically Rokkr, Ultra, loser of that gets top 8, and then if OpTic do beat Guerrillas, and OpTic are usually good for at least one series win and losers when they go down, and Subliners beat Ravens as you would expect them to, then OpTic versus Subliners to determine who goes top 6 and who goes out top 8. Like, that's honestly mind-blowing, especially given how important this is for Subliners, but also for OpTic, right, trying to get revenge on New York when they beat them in the qualifiers just, you know, a couple of weeks ago now. So yeah, just incredible situation, and well, here we go with the actual schedule for the day. So Subliners play Ravens first up. I can't really see, like, look, I think the New York are going to win this. They've got too much banking on this tournament, to be honest. They need every single point they can get. That Game 5 Round 11 1 versus 1 victory yesterday against the Seattle Surge would have been massive for them. Not how it works out though at all. They play London, then OpTic if they beat Guerrillas, which they probably will do, but you know, you can never guarantee anything at this point, to be honest, in the way that Vanguard is and just Call of Duty is in general. There's always, you know, some percentage of a time that you're going to roll the dice and Guerrillas are going to win this series. But I'm hoping for at least OpTic versus Subliners. Winner of that moves on to Saturday and beyond. The loser goes out top 8. That's going to be a massive series. If it does happen, it's kind of hard to look past New York based on how they looked last time they played. But you know, still, if it goes Game 5, I'm not sure I still trust that kind of New York with the clutch factor that OpTic do kind of seem to have had so far this year. Wasn't really the case yesterday though. Then Ultra versus Paris, Rokkr versus Breach. The Ultra Paris series I don't even want to comment on, and then Rokkr Breach is maybe kind of interesting. Can Boston bounce back in the same way Thieves did up against Rokkr here? But probably they're going to move on as well. And then we've got Rokkr Ultra to kick off the day on Saturday to determine also who goes top 8. So like, this bracket is already absolutely absurd. It's kind of Vanguard in a nutshell, but it does mean that there's an excellent chance we get yet another organisation winning an event this season. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Told you YouTube gods, this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.